As a lifelong Bronxite, what does the Bronx mean to you?
Oh, wow. The South Bronx means to me majesty, culture, pride, passion. And I can speak on that because I'm a product of the South Bronx. I grew up in the Melrose Projects. Unfortunately, the image of the South Bronx is always the one of the fires, etc. But people don't realize that the South Bronx, before the fires, was the place for upwardly mobile blacks, Puerto Ricans, Italians, Jews, Irish. All these communities existed at one time in the South Bronx cohesively, working together to better their lives. We had this great culture in the South Bronx that was represented by all of these nightclubs, catering halls, etc., that featured music on a nightly basis. I mean, at one time, the South Bronx in particular had between 60 to 75 nightclubs, all banging at the same time. So can you imagine the culture? It wasn't just salsa, it was jazz, and of course R&B and doo-wop. And then later on, after the fires, that culture was reborn in a different kind of way through hip-hop. Our organization is called the Bronx Music Heritage Center. It's the cultural arm of the Women's Housing and Economic Development Corporation, otherwise known as WETCO. And our mission is to preserve, propagate, inspire, illuminate, all those kind of things, all of the music that has come from the South Bronx and is being created now in the South Bronx. Well, not just the South Bronx, but all of the Bronx, because many people don't know that, as Dr. Mark Nason, the head of African American Studies at Fordham University, says that more forms of music have been cultivated and nurtured in the Bronx than in any other place in the United States other than possibly Tremaine, New Orleans. So everything we do has a cultural basis to it. It's not just throwing concerts together and putting them on. We've had New York Times best-selling authors talk about their work. We've had comedians from Comedy Central, film screenings, lectures, people that are representatives from Black Lives Matter talk to the community about the relationship that the community has with the police. But all of the things we do have a cultural component to them. What makes the cultural scene in the South Bronx so unique is that there's this vibrancy here of new artists coming into the Bronx and established artists that have already been here that have never left. And these new immigrant population from China, from North Africa, from Europe, from Central and West Africa, and they will contribute and are contributing to this incredible vibrancy in the South Bronx. Plus we have obviously the Dominican community, the growing Colombian community, the growing Mexican community. All of these communities have their own music, and they're fusing that with a New York attitude, and particularly with jazz from the African American diaspora. So the future of the South Bronx and the Bronx in general is a vibrant one, and it's being represented at the Bronx Music Heritage Center in full force.